Hey guys, today we're going to talk about solving systems, and the way we're going to solve systems today is by addition. So this is just another method. We learned the graphing method, and this is the new method called the addition method. So this is how the addition method works. If the coefficients for either x or y are identical except for the sign, if you add them together, you eliminate one of the variables. Because if you think about it, x plus negative x equals 0. So let's see what that looks like. Actually, we're going to talk about the steps first. So step 1, add to eliminate one variable. So think back to when we learned how to add. We put the numbers on top of each other and we line them up. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to line up the equal sign and we're going to add the terms together. Step 2, solve the new equation for the remaining variable. You should just have one. And then 3, once you have that variable, substitute back into either equation to solve for the other variable. And step 4, check your answer. So let's look at this first system. The first system is 5x minus y equals negative 10 and 3x plus y equals 2. We notice that the coefficients in front of y are both 1, except for in the first equation, it's negative 1, and the second equation is positive 1. And since we know negative 1 plus 1 is 0, we know if we were to add these two equations together, they would cancel out. So we do that. 5x plus 3x equals 8x. The y's cancel out. We bring down the equal sign. Negative 2 plus 10, negative 10 plus 2 gives us 8. And then we solve for x. X is equal to 1. Then we take x equals 1 and we're going to plug it back into the equation. We can pick either one. I'm going to pick the first one. So we plug in x equals 1 here to solve for y. So 5 times 1, which is 5, minus y is equal to negative 10. Subtract 5 from both sides, we get negative y equals negative 15, which means that y is equal to 15, which means that the solution to the system is 1, 15. All right, next system, we have 2x plus 2y equals 16, and we also have 3x minus 2y equals negative 2. So again, notice they have the same coefficient of 2, except for one is positive and one is negative, which means if we were to add these two equations together, the 2y and the minus 2y would cancel. So let's go ahead and do that. 2x plus 3x gives us 5x. The 2y and negative 2y cancel. We bring down our equal sign, and then 16 minus 1 is 15. Okay, we solve for x. We end up with 3. Now we're going to take x equals 3 and plug it back into the equation. And we can pick either one. I'm going to pick the top one. And we're going to plug x equals 3 into the top equation to find what y is. So 2 times x, or 2 times 3, plus 2y equals 16. Well, 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, we subtract 6 from both sides, and we end up with 2y is equal to 10. Now we solve for y, and we get y equals 5, which means that our solution, x equals 3, y equals 5, which gives us the ordered pair 3, 5. All right, your turn. Go ahead and practice. I'm going to pause for a second and give you a minute to try this one yourself. All right, you should have gotten the answer 3, 5. Okay, let's look at this one. If you notice, they both have a coefficient of 3, but they're both positive 3. If we were to add this together, we would get 9x plus 6y equals 36. That doesn't help us. We still have two variables, so that's not good. So what can we do for this? Well, what we can do is we can multiply one entire equation by negative 1. If we multiply the entire thing by negative 1, that will make it a negative 3y, and so it will cancel. The only thing is if we multiply by negative 1, we have to multiply each and every term on both sides of the equal sign by negative 1 as well. So let's see what that looks like. we have x plus y equals -8 and x minus 2y equals 10. I see that I have the same coefficient on x. They're both 1. However, I need 1 to be negative. So I'm going to choose the second equation. I'm going to multiply the entire equation by -1. Think of distributing. -1 times x gives us our negative x. -1 times -2y gives us a positive 2y. -1 times 10 gives us a -10. So now this is our new system, right? This is the first equation, and this is the second equation that we multiplied -1 by. Now we add those two equations. Our x's cancel. Y plus 2y is 3y. -8 plus -10 is -18, which means that y is equal to -6. Now we plug in y equals -6 back into our equation to figure out what x is. And I'm going to pick the first equation, right, which is x plus y equals -8. So x plus -6, which is the same as saying x minus 6. Oh, this right here should be an equal sign, I'm sorry, equals -8. So we add 6 to both sides. -8 plus 6 gives us x equals -2. So we have our solution, -2, -6. All right, so this one looks a little bit more complicated. Notice how neither of them have a coefficient that's the same. That's okay. Just like we multiplied everything by -1 in order so that way we could cancel things out, we're going to do the same thing. We are going to choose either the top one or the bottom one, our choice, and then we're going to multiply everything by the same number in order to make it cancel. Okay, so sometimes none of the coefficients will be the same, which means we multiply one or both equations by a constant, so we have identical terms. Okay, so here we have an example, -4x plus y equals 26. And then we have x minus 5y equals 3. Okay, so we pick one. I'm going to pick the second equation, and I want my x's to cancel out. So if I have -4x on top, the second equation, I want to multiply everything by positive 4x so that way my x's cancel out. So that's what I did here. I'm going to take 4, I'm going to distribute it to each and every term. So 4 times x gives me 4x. 4 times -5y gives me -20y. And then I have 4 times 3 gives me 12. Okay, so now I add the equations together. My x's cancel, leaving me -19y equals 38. Solve for y, and y is equal to, oh, that should be a -2, right? -2. Just realized that this slide is wrong, okay? So don't write what the slide has on it, or you'll have the wrong answer, right? So y should be -2 because 38 divided by -19 is -2. So when we plug in our equation, we want to plug in -2. I'm going to plug into the second equation. So x minus 5 times, again, this should be -2 for y equals 3. So 5 times -2 is -10. So x minus -10 is actually x plus 10. So that means we're going to subtract 10 from both sides. 3 minus 10 gives us -7. So our correct answer should have been -7, -2. All right, so next example. So in this one, I want to go ahead and I want to cancel my x's again. So in order to cancel my x's, I'm going to multiply the top equation by -3 because -3 and +3 will cancel out. And so when I distribute my -3, it gives me -3x plus 9y because -3 times -3y is +9. And then -3 times 16 is -48. And so I'm going to add those two equations together, right? I modified the first one. I'm going to add the second one. and I'm with 10y equals negative 50, which means y is equal to negative 5. I'm going to plug this y equals negative 5 back into my equation. I get to pick which one. I'm going to pick the first one. So x minus 3 times negative 5, which is x minus negative 15, which is x plus 15. So I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides, which tells me that x is equal to 1, which means my answer is 1 comma negative 5. Okay, so your turn. Go ahead and see if you can figure this one out. I'm going to go ahead and pause for a second. Okay, you should have gotten the answer 1/2 comma negative 1 or 0.5 comma negative 1. All right, go ahead and try this one. You should have gotten the answer 5 comma negative 7. All right, so let's talk about the characteristics of solutions. Determine how many solutions a system of a linear equation will have. We place them in the slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus. Now, there are a couple of cases. If you put them into y equals mx plus b, and they have the same slope, the same m value, but they have different y-intercepts, different b values, that means that those two equations are parallel. They never intersect, they have no solutions. However, if they have the same m value and they also have the same y-intercept, so same slope, same b value, same y-intercept, that means they are the same coinciding lines. That means there are infinite solutions. They're right on top of each other, which means that they are intersecting infinitely. So number 3, if they have different slopes, that means they are intersecting lines. That means there's going to be one solution. So here's a system, x plus 5y equals 6, x minus 5y equals 6. You're going to want to put them into a slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, and then determine, are there no solutions? Are there parallel? Are there one solution, which means they have different slopes? Or are they infinite solutions? When you solve, you get the same equation. So I'll go ahead and let you figure that out. Okay, you should have gotten that they have different slopes, which means that there was one solution. Go ahead and try this one. All right, you should have gotten infinite solutions, which means that when you solve for y, you should have gotten the same exact equation. All right, try this one. All right, you should have gotten that their slope was the same, which means that there are no solutions. That means that they are parallel. All right, your turn. Go ahead and do 6.3, 2 through 6 evens. They are due in class. Thank you.